Welcome back to the All Ball Podcast, where it's all ball all the time. You are here with your host, Sean and Isaiah. This is episode number 19, and today we're going to talk about whether or not Kemba is washed. He has gotten benched from the rotation and is not playing at all anymore, and we're just going to kind of discuss his future in the league. We're also going to talk about our Rockets continuing the winning streak and continuing to impress as we come off it was 15 games, right? A losing streak.
Yeah.
Yep. So we are playing the Bucks tonight, going for win number 8. And then after that, we're kind of just going to discuss some other NBA topics, throw some trade packages around, and I have a couple questions for Isaiah. But other than that, Isaiah, you know the question is always, how you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling a lot better than I did last week, as you can hear. And obviously excited about our Rockets continuing their win streak. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, let's talk about Kemba, because there were some hints, some flashes of Kemba looking really bad in Boston, but he was never just completely out of the rotation when he was healthy. So for him now to be in New York and they just said, hey, you're not playing good enough, you got to sit. That is a huge issue and a huge question about Kemba Walker. Is he really washed?
Do you just want to go straight off the bat and say, like, both of us yes or no, and then kind of get into why?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ahead and say, I'll start with my as much as I don't want him to be, I think he is. He's already on the other side of 30. Mm-hmm. He was averaging a career low in points with it says 11.7. Yeah, that's tough. This is like worse than his rookie season, which was 12.1.
Oh,
and
man.
You know, he's never been good at defense. So getting older and being a smaller guard doesn't really help. And then the fact that his contract is two years long, I don't think he's probably even going to play the rest of the season and probably gets traded in the offseason.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to agree. It doesn't necessarily pain me as much because, like I said, there were flashes of this in Boston. So, I mean, I kind of saw it coming. I didn't think it would be so abrupt to where he would go from being, you know, starting PG on one team to out of the rotation on his next team. But yeah, I kind of saw it coming. So yes, he is definitely washed. Like you said, never been much of a defender. Also, never really been much of a playmaker either. So when you can't score the ball and you don't do anything else to contribute for the team, what are they supposed to do with you? There's really no options there except to take you out the rotation and, like you said, eventually trade him, which I hope can somehow give him a role in a new team. But that's all we can do right now is hope.
And honestly, looking at these stats right now, they are really, really deceiving because his field goal percentage is 42% and his 3-point percentage is 41%. But his points don't really match the percentages. I guess he
is what I like to call reverse Westbrooking. Westbrook will have really good looking plain stat numbers. And then you get into the efficiency and the turnovers and it's like, so that's how he got that.
Right.
And Kemba is having the exact opposite. It's the efficiency is looking really good here. But the totals aren't adding up there.
No, definitely not. Like assist all-time low. I mean, I don't really care about rebounds for him, but like I said, points and assists all-time lows. In Charlotte, he was assisting a lot because he was the main ball handler. Now he's playing with like Julius Randle. I mean, RJ Barrett doesn't really ball handle like that, but he I guess you could say quote unquote one of the stars.
Yeah, more than Kemba though. So.
Yeah. he's not coming off the bench. Derrick Rose is in the most perfect spot that he can be in coming off the bench in New York, and you're not going to touch Derrick Rose. And obviously, Kemba's dealt with a lot of injuries over his career, and like I said, he's on the opposite side of 30. I don't know if he does get traded. I don't think it's to a contender. I think he's gonna go to a team that needs to burn a contract after that season and needs cap space. So they'll probably trade away a guy who's can be productive with a semi-large contract for Kemba, and just kind of take Kemba's contract and let him I guess play him out for the rest of the season. Just
basically give him a whole new Charlotte to play in.
Yeah, exactly. Man, it's tough though seeing Kemba because he was really good in Charlotte, and I remember back when I was like 16 years old, 15 years old, this man was, he was giving people buckets left and right. So,
oh yeah, we can't forget his classic 60 piece.
That was against who?
Dang, I want to say that it was against the Sixers. I believe it was a team with Jimmy Butler on it at the time.
So then it either has to be the Bulls, Sixers, or Wolves.
Yeah, definitely wasn't the Bulls, I don't think. Oh, no. Let me see. Oh, never mind. Looking at the wrong thing, man. Yeah, okay, it was the Sixers. Yeah, I was right.
Okay. Man, it just sucks though, man, because I feel like if all those injuries didn't happen, he probably is not still what he was in Charlotte, but he's at least somewhat of what he was in Charlotte. He could be that 6th, 7th man or whatever, maybe even start. But he's not that 4-time All-Star that he once was anymore.
Yeah, and then this is another thing. I believe I saw this in a video. I'm not 100% sure if this was Kemba necessarily. It might have been somebody else. But I do remember watching something about Kemba where when he was on the court, the Knicks were one of the worst defenses. And then when he was off the court, they're one of the best. But what I believe was about him was they were legitimately number 30 in defense with him on the court and then number 1 with him off the court.
I mean, that makes sense because he's an undersized guard that can't play. He's Trae Young, a lesser version of Trae Young who can't play make that well. Trae Young's a lot better playmaker, but still, undersized guard who has never in his life been known as a defender. He's obviously been known as an offensive guy. And, well, like I said, with all those injuries and, kind of his role going from all-star to starter to possible starter to now getting benched completely, I don't know where his career goes from here.
Yeah, it's like I said, we just hope that he can get traded somewhere where he has a decent role again. That's all there is to it. Either he goes up or he's out of the league. There's really no other options.
I feel like the situation is very similar to Isaiah Thomas at this point.
I can see that. I can actually see that a lot. The difference is I think Kemba's actually going to get another chance on another team.
I think so too. Like I said, I'm not sure where his career goes from here, but I'm at least predicting that he'll get traded next offseason and probably goes to a bad team that needs that contract to be out the next year. But yeah, man, is there anything else you kind of want to talk about Kemba? I mean, I don't want to bash on him too hard because
we can move on. There's not much left to say about it. We've said enough.
Okay. All right. So the Rockets are playing the Bucks tonight in Milwaukee, right? No. They're here because they're wearing the uniforms. Our throwbacks
here
are amazing throwbacks. So do you predict to add on the 8th win to the streak?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Until I get something that says that Giannis, the reigning finals MVP, is not playing tonight, I have no hope for a win here. Because we know who Giannis is, and he doesn't play like that. He's not gonna get up and play and then allow his team to lose to what is one of the worst teams in the league.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, now with that being said, though, the 7-win streak is still very impressive. But now you can say what you're gonna say.
I don't think it's an absolute 100% that we're going to lose, because how do I put this? I feel like there were such hot win streak that we kind of feel invincible at the moment, and with everyone kind of popping off, Garrison Matthews shooting lights out of the ball, and Christian Matthews. Okay. Christian Wood, going back to his all-star self. I think we can pull it out. It's going to be a lot harder than all the other 7 games that we've won, though. That's what I will say.
You see, that's the thing that's really going to get me. It's that with the other teams that we beat, none of them except for the Bulls are good defensive teams. So it was literally just a pure who can out offense the other battle. Whereas the Bucks are one of the best defenses in the league, especially when they have their whole big 3 playing.
Yeah.
So that's the point where I feel like we're absolutely done. Because if all 3 of them are going to play too, yeah, there's just no way. Too much defense, too much synergy. We just can't keep up. Even with our amazing Garrison Matthews, our amazing Christian Wood returning back to his old self, with Eric Gordon playing how he's playing, it's too high of a hill for this team to legitimately climb unless everything just goes wrong with the Bucks.
So your prediction is a clear Bucks win, unless the only way the Rockets can win is if everything goes wrong for the Bucks.
Yes, everything. They have to have terrible shooting night, or 2 of their big 3 have to not be playing, and they just have a normal shooting night with that not core, but with the rest of that roster there. Yeah, those are really the only ways I can see it. Stars sitting out, or they just have a horrible stinker of a game.
I'm with you for the most part. These are the defending champs. It is Giannis, like you said. Other than the Bulls, we haven't really played a great defensive team. But like I said, I think they have a better chance, at least a little better chance than you're giving them. I think. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Garrison Matthews, lives up. You heard them chanting MVP in the arena, right?
Listen. Trust me. I am on the Garrison Matthews bandwagon. Matter of fact, when I was watching that Nets game, I heard potentially the greatest nickname for him I've ever heard for anybody.
You talking about the Gary Bird thing?
Yes. Gary Bird. I am all for it. But at the end of the day, you got to look at what team we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It would take an absolute astronomical performance on our part to beat them. It's possible, but it's just not very likely. And that's the point that I'm making. Like, if you really want me to make my honest prediction, that's what I think happens maybe 8 out of 10 times.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with you there. I like the it's possible, but it's not likely type wording, I guess you could say. I'll take that. So I know what was it last episode that you were kind of calling out Jalen Green that because he's not playing, we're winning.
Yes, that was the last episode.
Okay. So I couldn't really put into words last episode what I was trying to say and trying to defend Jalen Green, but I found this tweet by Roosh Williams. I don't know if you've ever heard of him before. He's kind of a popular like guy on Rockets Twitter.
You see, I don't get on Twitter, so I would.
Oh, okay. Well, it's pretty popular on there, and he says if anyone tries to claim Jalen Green being out is the reason why the Rockets are winning, then just let them know that the Grizzlies won 5 in a row when Ja Morant went out, and that obviously means nothing.
But I think there's a difference there. The key difference is that when Ja was playing, they were still winning games in their own right there. They were still the 4 or 5, somewhere in that mid to low playoff range with him playing. And it's just allowing some other guys to really step up and kind of evenly distribute that load, which that's the thing. They're evenly distributing that load now. So it kind of makes sense how they're winning games. Whereas when Jalen Green was playing, he wasn't playing well, which is part of the problem that I have, because we were feeding him so many shots and he was not making them. So there was no attempt to really try and spread that load to make up for the way he was playing. Now, I mean, I guess you could put that on the coaching then instead of on him. But that's all I'm saying is that it's not a coincidence that we win the game, that he goes down. You can call that one a coincidence. But then to win 6 straight right after, like there's no coincidence. And then you can't put it on Daniel Tice either.
Oh, I was going to say that.
Because he did play a couple of games in this streak.
Bench.
But he
came
played.
Off the bench.
So that takes away the argument of, just Daniel Tice not playing is what gave us the streak.
I'm still going to say it's Daniel Tice. I know you just said it's not, but I'm going to say it anyways.
I mean, I could say that he's a part of it because taking his minutes away and giving more to KJ Martin has definitely been a big help. And it's more to Şengün too. So yeah, I can agree there that he's part of it. But I think the bigger issue here is just the way that we played with Jalen Green.
Hopefully Jalen Green kind of has the same thing where once he comes back off the injury, like KPJ, he kind of actually steps into the role that he was assigned. You know how like KPJ before his injury was not doing great as the primary point guard. And once he came back, he was doing a lot better, less turnovers, making better passes and all that. I hope that the same thing can happen with Jalen Green, where he's not so much like shot chucking, you know what I mean? And I want him to drive to the basket more because I feel like he's a really good finisher, even though he's a little on the weaker side. Because
I was just about to say that I don't think he'll be able to sustain it because he's just too skinny.
Yeah. Well, like at a reasonable pace, you know. I don't want him to go like to try to like dunk on Rudy Gobert or something.
We don't want him driving with the mindset that he's Westbrook or Ja Morant right now.
Right. Yeah, I want him to stay healthy for a lot of his career. So I don't want him to get hurt early. No, but I think he does need to drive to the basket a little more. I think his 3-point shot will come around eventually in the later part of the season. But at the moment, I want him to attack the basket a little more.
Yeah, I think for sure he does need to attack the basket more because that's another part of the problem with when he played. he just settled for shots too much. And now,
Mm-hmm.
something that I really thought about as I was thinking about this is that he doesn't provide much else on the court except for scoring. Like, he's not really a good or great passer.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely one of the worst defenders in the league because of his size.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of leaves him in this weird spot where I can't really do much else to contribute to the team. So I have to keep shooting, but I'm not hitting them. So if
Right.
I stop shooting, I'm just going to be doing nothing on the court. Whereas if I keep shooting, at least there's a chance, even though I'm not doing very well.
I think there's a lot of opportunity for him to score too if he plays a little more off ball.
Yeah.
Like if he makes like a lot more backdoor cuts,
I
comes
was
off
just
of like
about to say, if he could take some notes from KJ Martin about when to cut, oh yeah, that could definitely open up his game a lot more.
more I think more pin downs too, like in the corner would help him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I think like playing off ball would allow him to not have to really create for himself, obviously. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that would allow him to focus more on just shooting the ball when he actually does shoot the ball. But hopefully it's at a less amount, less volume.
Mm-hmm.
But what else was I going to ask you about? Oh, KJ Martin. We were literally just talking about him. He, man, do you think he could be one of the best dunkers in the league in a few years?
I think it's possible. He definitely has the athleticism to be there. I think he just, it depends on what you're grading the dunking on. Because if we're talking about flashiest, then I think he needs to up his creativity a lot before we can really give him even a spot in that conversation. But just one of those like in-game dunker kind of guys, someone like a Westbrook, where Westbrook doesn't really do much like, between the legs, behind anything crazy like that.
Yeah.
But he's for sure a threat when he drives at the rim with the mindset to dunk it. So yeah, I think we can put him in that conversation about just one of the biggest dunking threats in the league.
Yeah, because he's put some people on post like I don't know if you I think it was the Pelicans game where he kind of did a putback over like three people.
Oh yeah.
I was in bed watching the game and I stood up and I was jumping around because I feel like I've told you before, but KJ Martin is my favorite player on the Rockets at the moment. Just because of his athleticism and his just energy. And I think that he could grow into a bigger role than what he is right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I obviously wouldn't say that he'll grow into a potential all-star, even though you never know what could happen.
Right.
But I think for sure he could be a starting caliber player. Maybe he gets the shot more consistent, just keeps doing what he's doing when it comes to slashing and cutting, and defend maybe a little better. And yeah, we could easily have him as a consistent starter. No real debate there, just because he does provide a lot of positive things to the team when he's on the court, especially just the way that he moves on offense without the ball is really key. So yeah, I think I could see that.
Do you think he'll be better than his dad?
Ooh, we're talking about an actual all-star there. So I don't know. I need to see a lot for him to overtake that.
I kind of had a feeling you were gonna say no. But I mean, like, he's starting his career really young, so I mean, you never know.
Yeah,
he has a lot of time to grow.
There are a lot of guys who come into the league and they're kind of average, maybe below average, and then they just blow up out of nowhere. So
yeah,
Yes, maybe it could happen. Maybe he could have a Miles Bridges career projection.
I I would be happy with that. Miles Bridges, I would like. I know Miles Bridges is also growing at the same time.
Mm.
I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought you said Mikal Bridges, and I was like, "What?" It's completely opposite, like
Yeah,
archetype of his.
no.
It's his what do you call it? Like his basketball talents.
Yeah, it's like the exact opposite type of play style.
Yeah.
3-and-D guy spotting up, maybe a little
Yes.
bit of off the dribble versus dunker, cutter.
Yeah. I was like, what? He's gonna turn into a 3D player out of nowhere? Okay. I mean, okay.
Miles Bridges.
I saw someone say that Mikal Bridges' arms are so long that he ties his shoes standing up.
It's so funny because I've always thought that his arms were like freakishly long. Like,
Yeah.
even in this league that is full of guys with arms that are freakishly long compared to their body. Because, for a typical human, your wingspan is supposed to be equal to your height.
Right.
And one of the keys to being successful in the NBA is having a wingspan that's longer than your height.
Mm-hmm.
But man, something about Mikal Bridges, it's like it looks like his wingspan is twice his height. Like, it's scary. It's scary.
He went into 2K and put the average
Oh yeah.
height, average weight, and then put the
Man,
wingspan
put
all the
that
way to the right.
wingspan slider all the way up, bro. Man was making a joke character.
Oh man. All right. So I guess you want to move on to the next part of the episode. Well, I guess it's like a freestyling the end kind of.
Yeah, we can move.
Okay, so I guess we can start off with the trade packages.
Mm-hmm.
I read these already. These are a lot better. And this is by Grant Hughes. Not sure who that is exactly. It says NBA trade packages to create the next big three.
Interesting.
The Celtics shake it up and add Pascal Siakam. Boston Celtics receive Pascal and Goran Dragic, and the Raptors receive Smart, Horford, and Langford.
Okay. I really like the idea of that trade for Boston,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't see it being a realistic choice just because I think the Raptors aren't getting back as much as they would really want
Right.
for somebody like Pascal Siakam, who, despite, being a little bit down compared to where people thought he would be, is
Mm-hmm.
still a really good player and a young-ish player at that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think they probably want maybe a little bit more young, high potential guys if they were going to go for a trade like that. But I
Right.
really like the idea of that. One, because Siakam, obviously. And then I also like the idea of maybe Goran Dragic running the offense a little bit for them.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too. Adding that extra playmaker to a team that's kind of struggled with that all year would be like perfect. And like you were saying, Marcus Smart, I feel like he's already hit his ceiling. He's still, he's not old, but
he's up there.
he's up there. He's hit his ceiling. Al Horford, not Al Horford that we used to know, and Romeo Langford, he's a young talent. I just think that he's not really like the hot commodity that they could probably get for Pascal. They could probably add another young rookie like maybe like Peyton Pritchard or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I could see Pritchard being something that they probably asked for in response there.
Yeah, that would definitely spice up the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Dallas addresses its biggest weakness. I have a feeling you're going to say no to this one because it involves a certain player that you said last time.
Mm-hmm.
But Dallas Mavericks receive Gordon Hayward. Charlotte Hornets receive Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith.
It's like I said, I really don't see Dallas giving up Tim Hardaway Jr. Like, unless they're getting back somebody who is like perennial all-star type of guy, there's no way I could see them getting rid of such a valuable shooter.
Mm-hmm.
even if he isn't that great on defense. But still, yeah, I just can't see them getting rid of him, especially just for Gordon Hayward, somebody who's unfortunately due to injury past his prime years.
Right. Tim Hardaway sold though versus the Nets. He was awful. 0 for 7 for 3, and then missed a wide open shot to tie the game.
Hey man, it happens. It
It,
happens.
it, it happens, but man, 0 for 7. You might as well just go on to the 0 for 20 something, whatever the Rockets did. This is probably the biggest trade. Well, actually,
Before you continue, I just want to say that trading Dorian Finney-Smith and Tim Hardaway in order to get Gordon Hayward really would fit the optics of the Mavericks, because it's just something about them and like light skin and white people. Like they just
okay.
like it is so funny. Like it's obviously just a funny coincidence, but it's funny. Like they went from one European superstar to immediately getting another European superstar. And then they added Porzingis on top of it.
Got Luka, they got Porzingis, they got Boban. They still have Boban. Yeah, they still have Boban.
And they have Dwight Powell. They have what is his name? I remember because I hate him on 2K when I played it on the Mavericks. Maxi Kleber.
Oh yeah.
Maxi Kleber's
a demon in 2K.
No, I hated him on 2K because I was a point guard and I was obviously trying to fish for assist. And every time I passed him the ball, he would not shoot.
Oh.
Like he'd be on a roll to the rim and then would just like run at the wide open rim and then pass the ball to somebody.
Oh, well, I don't know. They made different versions too. I don't know. People I play against.
This was a while ago though. So.
Oh, okay. I get you. All right. So this is, like I said, this is probably the biggest one. The Wolves gamble on Kyrie Irving. Minnesota receives Kyrie and Brooklyn receives Russell D'Angelo.
That's an interesting one. Hold on. Let me take a minute to examine how D'Angelo Russell has been playing for the Timberwolves, because I've noticed that Anthony Edwards has been his usual up and down, inconsistent play. Mm-hmm. But I just nothing really ever stuck out to me about D'Angelo Russell's time there. So let me see. Ooh, yeah, he's playing kind of rough.
I mean, that's better than not playing at all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think it would be nice to bring the Brooklyn hero back to Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing is, I'm not sure how well he would fit there, considering that part of the reason why he was so good when he was there is because he was the one running everything. Had the ball in his hands, getting people involved, a lot of screen and rolls thanks to that Kenny Atkinson offense. But, Steve Nash running the show, Kevin Durant, James Harden there, I don't see him thriving the same way that he did.
Well, I mean, if James Harden is going to be playing the way he did versus us, he definitely doesn't need the ball in his hands. Man, they got us to 4 within 4 of us, and with like 4 minutes left, and he was like, "Nah, I don't want to win. I'm just gonna chuck up shots that don't even make sense.
I'm going to completely sell this game."
It's like every time the Nets win on a run, he killed it every single time.
Yeah, it's like I was getting nervous, a little upset, and then James Harden would just start James Harden and thinking, "Oh yeah, let me step back, throw this, step back, throw it," and not to mention he got blocked however many times.
Man, I was so like I don't know, hyped every time Christian would block him and talk trash to him.
Oh yeah,
the smile.
I loved it, especially because Christian Wood really played well with him when he was still here.
Right.
And then for him to just pack up and leave, I know Christian Wood was salty about that. So to see him get his revenge first time back in Houston, oh yeah, I'm gonna show you something, James, why you shouldn't have left me.
Okay, so this is a three-team trade involving the Grizzlies, Sixers, and Thunder. Memphis gets defense with Ben Simmons. Memphis receives Ben Simmons and a 2025 second round pick from the Grizzlies. 76ers receive Shea and Dylan Brooks. And the Thunder receive Tyrese Maxey, Steven Adams, Zaire Williams, a 2022nd, a 2024th, and a 2026 first.
That is a really interesting trade there. Okay, so let's look at this in pieces. First and foremost, I'm going to say no on this trade happening because I think Shea is the cornerstone that the Thunder want to build around. So I don't think there's any way that they give him up without getting another cornerstone type of player in return.
Right.
Then I'd say another reason why this trade probably wouldn't work out so well is because I don't think Ben Simmons wants to go to Memphis. So
that's true.
I think he goes to Memphis, probably hates it there, but still plays and then leaves as soon as possible.
The reason why I wouldn't see this trade working out is because Ben Simmons with Ja, those are two. I mean, Ja's not a non-shooter,
but
he's
not really an off-ball kind of player,
right? And his three, it's gotten better over the years, but
it's still not great,
right? And obviously, Ben doesn't shoot threes.
Yeah, we don't need to say much more about that.
So, are your two guards just going to be not shooting, many threes per game, or
I feel like it would be like having who can I compare this to? Maybe like Westbrook and Prime Rondo on the court together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like individually, those are two very good guys that you want to have. But then when you really think about it, neither one of them are shooters. So what are they supposed to do when the other one's on the court? Just stand there and watch them do their thing.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's just going to harm Ja more than it helps the team, especially because Ja is such a slasher, and having somebody like Ben Simmons on the team create zero spacing. Yeah, it would just make Ja's job harder.
I think 76ers winning this trade, no matter what.
Absolutely.
Getting Shea.
I would not be surprised if this trade was drawn up by a 76ers fan, because that's what that sounds like.
For the Thunder, I mean, I guess you get Tyrese and Zaire, Steven Adams, kind of pointless in your organization at this point. But I mean, why are you adding more picks? There's 3 more first-round picks when you have 20 for the 5-6 years or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of pointless at this point.
It's excessive.
Yeah,
it's like there's no reason that we need to hear 5 of a single lottery be Thunder picks.
For real.
It's like, the 2nd pick, the 5th pick, the 7th pick, the 8th pick, the 11th pick. It's like, we don't need all of that, man. And they don't need all of that.
The lottery is just going to be like, the lottery goes to the Thunder. Just the Thunder.
Yeah, they get all 1 through 14.
Okay, so this is the last one. Jeremy Grant joins Trae Young and John Collins in Atlanta. Hawks receive Jeremy Grant. Pistons receive Cam Reddish, Onyeka Okongwu, and DeLon Wright.
I actually like that trade. I like that one. I think it's something that could happen, considering that Jeremy Grant isn't really young per se. So I don't think he really fits with the timeline and trajectory that the Pistons are currently on.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, and then meanwhile you have Cam Reddish, a guy who's starting to blossom a little bit, so it would be realistic for a team to trade an all-star for him when they're trying to rebuild, sort of.
Right.
Yeah, and then Okongwu definitely is going to have a great defensive presence on that team. So yeah, I think I like that trade. I like that one.
So would Collins... So then Jeremy Grant would have to move to the 3 when he's kind of basically played the 4 in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, he's been like one of those weird in between guys. Even when he was playing the four, he was playing the
Mm-hmm.
floor, playing the four, but he still spent a lot of time on the perimeter doing perimeter things.
Right, right,
So
because he's, I would say, above average defense.
yeah, so I think he could easily just slide back to the three, which he's definitely played before in some places. So yeah, just slide him back to the three, keep Collins at the four.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most realistic and most evenly sided trade out of all of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even though this was the only one that was really like even sided, I think this was all five of these were better than the other ones that I read.
Oh, without a doubt. All of these at least had something going for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of those last trades really had anything realistic to go off of.
Uh, Let me see. There was something else I was gonna ask you about? I know I was gonna ask you about near the end about Dame wanting Simmons to go, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can get Simmons for just McCollum and something else.
Yeah.
But I think that was it. Maybe I'm thinking about something else. I've seen some Ben Simmons to the Spurs too, but I don't think he wants to go to San Antonio.
Don't think he wants to go there. Don't think San Antonio has the players to match up to a Ben Simmons trade.
Contractually wise, no, I don't think so. But I think they
Contract
have
or
enough.
even talent wise, I don't think there's anybody that they'd be willing to trade. That is,
Okay, well then, yeah. If you're saying willing trade, but I meant like talent. Like they have Devin Vassell. They're not getting rid of Dejounte.
yeah.
Dejounte's
You
starting
see,
to
and that's the problem.
blossom.
I think Dejounte is the one guy that they would have to trade if they were to go for Simmons, because it's kind of like how the Celtics, they were like, no, you're gonna have to come off Jaylen Brown if you want
Yeah.
Ben Simmons.
At this point, you picking Dejounte or Ben?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that if he was playing, I'd take Ben over
Mm-hmm.
DeJounte.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say that it's a terrible a terrible fleece, because
Right.
yeah, no, DeJounte Murray is still very good. There's a reason that he was one of my top six, five, one of my higher picks when I did fantasy last year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like DeJounte Murray is no slouch on out there, man. He is a young stud.
Yeah, I think he's really starting to blossom this year, and he I think he could be a number two option for that team in the future. I think they could probably add someone else
Mm-hmm.
in the future. Another, I wouldn't say free agents because free agents don't really
Yeah,
go to like San Antonio like that. But um, never know what they can get through the draft.
yeah. And then I mean, I really like the idea of them adding somebody who's a really good floor spacer, off the ball kind of scorer, but at a high level, because
Mm-hmm.
it allows DeJounte to keep playing on the ball and exercising his great facilitation abilities.
Right.
Yeah. And then it obviously, thanks to their floor spreading, whoever this theoretical person would be, it would allow the floor to be open more for DeJounte to kind of get to that mid-range / painted area that he likes to operate in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Pop would want to deal with Ben Simmons.
So God, that sounds like a terrible matchup.
Yeah, I don't think Pop wants to put up with Simmons'
Yeah.
games.
One of the biggest divas in the league with one of the most, how can I
Old
phrase it?
school
Old
stern.
school, stern, no games played kind of coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only reason they'd get along is because Ben doesn't shoot threes.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I think they would get along there, but everything else is just been Pop just giving them the stare down.
Oh yeah, for sure. So many stare downs. Lots of head-to-head arguments on the bench. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. All right, man. Well, is there anything you else wanted? Oh man, I couldn't even speak there. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we kind of wrap everything up?
No, I said everything I needed to say about all the trades and the proposed questions. So yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Oh, actually, okay. So I do remember the one thing that I was going to ask you right now. This is going to be really quick though. Your most standings wise, your
Okay.
most impressive team for both conferences and your most disappointing team for each conference.
Okay. So standing wise, I think without a doubt the Eastern Conference is easy. It's the Bulls. They're still the second seed. DeMar DeRozan has been great for them, and even with him out, they're still the second seed at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bucks are probably going to overtake them pretty soon. But even still, to be a 3 seed, a 4 seed, that's about where I was. Like, that's their absolute maximum, and
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be any happier for them at that
Right.
kind of position. Then for the West, I'd say my most impressive team, I'd say it's the Warriors, honestly. And it's because I did not expect them to just bounce back to the number 1 seed this easily without Clay being back, without Wiseman playing. Like, they really just had a healthy Steph, a healthy Draymond, Kevon Looney, who knows their system well, and then just a bunch of really good, hard-nosed players that are just willing to play their role. Otto Porter, he spots up, he takes those shots. Bielitsa, he spots up, takes those shots. And actually, he's starting to slash a lot more in order to get some good passes out.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Payton II, he's been pretty impressive. Jordan Poole, while inconsistent, has looked pretty good for them. Andrew Wiggins looking like the Warriors were the best thing to ever happen to him basketball-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd say the Warriors were my most impressive team in the West. And now going back to the East, most disappointing team, I'd probably say, I think it's a tie. It's between the Celtics and the Pacers. I say the Pacers because nothing really happened to them to make them significantly worse than they were last season.
Mm-hmm.
But they just have been really bad. And then the Celtics, they're sitting at 500, barely in the play-in right now. Yeah, so when you have Jason Tatum, who regularly forgets how to play basketball, yeah, one of the most disappointing teams in the conference for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now moving back to the West, most disappointing team, really no argument there for me. I have to give it to the Trailblazers because they're another team where personnel-wise, nothing has really changed for them. But they're just significantly worse thanks to how Dame started the season and the fact that this coaching change made no positive impact on them at all.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy because you basically went like perfect for what I was gonna say too. The only thing is, instead of the well, actually, I was gonna add a team to the most disappointing in the Eastern Conference, and it was gonna be the Knicks.
Yeah,
because I felt like they had some good additions in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they only really lost Reggie Bullock, and they added Fournier, Kemba.
And
Talked about that.
we know how that panned out.
Yeah, and Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah,
back.
He's back. Derrick Rose is there still.
And to be the 11th seed, y'all should have been at least like 7th and higher.
Yeah, they were definitely one of the teams where, as I was looking, I was like, I could see how they're definitely in that sort of bunch for most disappointing, especially when you look at it compared to where they were in the standings last year. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I agree with you there. But Okay, well, I just kind of want to do something quick about the standings. But all right, well, that's going to be the end of the episode. If you like the episode, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, and comment down below. Isaiah, any last comments?
Don't forget, share the episodes with your friends, family, co-workers, whoever else, strangers on the street that you see wearing Rockets gear. I don't know, just get the podcast out there to as many people. Don't forget to check out the Instagram, All Ball Podcast YT, where you can make suggestions. We're a DM away from talking about whatever you're interested in and you want to hear about.
We want to have a very good fan interaction with the people who listen to our podcast. But all right, guys, we'll go ahead and catch you on the next episode. Later.